You've carried it so long, it started to feel like truth. But today, we return what was never ours to hold. The breakup starts here. Welcome to Unveiled. Welcome back to Unveiled, the podcast, a space where masks come off, truth comes forth, and freedom begins. Again, I'm your host, Taylor Picot. If you've walked with me through the first 2 episodes, you know by now that we peeled back some layers. Oh yeah. First, the invitation to be seen. And then last week, we talked about the origin of the mask, the cultural, spiritual, and emotional forces that shaped how we hide. And today, we go deeper. Today, we face the truth of what has kept the mask glued to our face. Shame. This episode might feel heavy, but I promise you, it's necessary. You can't heal what you keep hidden, and you can't release what you keep rehearsing. So today's episode is for the one who is ready to excel and ready to heal. Today, we are breaking up with shame. And if you're someone who's had shame tied to faith, spirituality, identity, or simply just not fitting the mold, this conversation is especially for you. I don't need you to believe what I believe to feel safe here. Just bring your honest self. That's all we need. What is shame? Let's start here. Shame is not just a feeling. It's an identity thief. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong. Guilt is behavior. Shame attacks your being. It seeps into your self-talk. Something's wrong with me. It echoes through family systems, church pews, and social media filters. It's a parasite. It tells you you're both the problem and the punishment. It wraps itself around our sense of self. It tells you you're too much, or hey, maybe just not enough. It speaks through silence. It speaks through rejection and religious rules, family expectations, and distorted memories. And sometimes shame isn't even about what we did. It's about what we absorbed. The body you were told to shrink. The story you were told not to tell. The desire you were told was dirty. The failure that became your name. But listen, Jesus didn't die for your perfection or your performance. He died for your permission to live free. I would even say that's contrary to popular belief. And even if you don't follow Jesus, consider this. What if your worth has never been measured by how good you are, how much you get done, or how few mistakes you make? What if you didn't need to prove yourself to deserve peace? Whether you believe in grace or you're still learning to trust your own reflection again, I want to tell you that you belong in this conversation, this very necessary conversation. So what I want to discuss, similar to last week, we discussed the origin of the mask, but here right now, I want to discuss the origin of shame because there is one. Let's talk about where shame hides specifically. because shame is rarely self-born. It's transferred. Hear me out. In your family roles, family shame. That may simply sound like, don't bring that up. We don't talk about that here. You're the strong one. Don't break now. Then we have culture shame. Be strong. Don't cry. Oh, and then we have your faith journey. If you really trusted God, you wouldn't struggle. Please don't get me started on religious shame. God's disappointed in you. In your body image, body shame. You'd be lovable if you look different, especially as a woman in a hyper-judging world. Or I would even say in your voice. You're too loud. Tone it down. You're too emotional. In Black and brown communities, where survival sometimes demanded silence over softness, we simply inherit through glances, silence, and rules never written, but somehow always enforced. Let me ask you this quick question. You know I'm good for a question. What story of not enoughness did you inherit? And have you ever questioned if it was true? See, shame isolates. Grace reconnects. Shame says, stay hidden to be accepted. Truth says, you're already accepted. Now come into the light. Let me be clear. This isn't about religion. It's simply just about being human. I want to validate your humanity because every soul, regardless of belief, longs to be accepted. We were wired in such a way to be accepted without performance and loved. We all have stories we were told. And some of them, I would say, they need to be thrown away. They need to be returned, never to return, and never to be repeated. So I have been on a journey, and a part of the journey that I have been on has led me on a very much therapeutic journey where I finally gave myself permission to explore parts of me that I never felt safe exploring. And through this opportunity, through this submission to this process, I've come to find out, honestly, quite a bit. Now, here's what trauma therapists teach, okay? When the nervous system feels unsafe, follow me, shame becomes a leash. It keeps you small enough to survive. So much to the point your brain believes, if I condemn myself first, no one else can. That's why you can't achieve, inspire, and still secretly feel defective. Because here's the thing about shame. It isn't logical. It's cellular. It's stored in posture, in tone, in the pause before you say, I'm fine. All of this is communicated through your nervous system. But also to that, on the other side of that, to that deregulated version of yourself, healing is possible because neurons can learn a new language. And let me tell you what that language is. It's simply grace. Science and spirit agree here. So no matter what side you find yourself on, there's this term that we're going to discuss throughout the duration of this podcast. and that's called grace. When we're real, we actually begin to rewire. Whether you call it inner healing, divine intervention, there's all kinds of names, nervous system regulation, or just becoming more whole. Something powerful happens when we stop hiding. The body knows. The body knows when you stop lying to yourself. And so does your soul. Now, again, y'all know I'm good for this. I have to make it plain, and I have to give it to you straight. Jesus himself was an example. John 8 specifically. Now, again, you don't have to be a Bible believer to hear me. You don't need to know scripture. You don't need to know all the things. I promise you, I got you. There was a woman in the book of John that was caught in the act of adultery. Like literally, guys, just picture this. There was this woman. She was dragged in front of a crowd, shamed, dragged some more, exposed, accused. All eyes on her. Every kind of judgment passed on her. And here you had this Jesus. And what did he do? He knelt. He literally knelt down and he wrote in the dirt. The same ground humanity was formed. Like, think about this. It was like he's reminding this woman who was in this act of adultery. He's reminding her, you actually still belong to creation. No matter what you have done, no matter what acts you've committed, you still belong here. And he even began to silence the naysayers and the accusers. And he said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. He didn't shame her. He doesn't minimize her story. What he did in a moment is he redefined it. And that's yet going to be another invitation that I give you, that in spite of shame, you get the opportunity to redefine your story. Here he separated her worth from her wounds. He didn't label her. In fact, he covered her. He covered her in compassion. He covered her in truth. That's the true gospel of no condemnation. Some of you may know Romans 8:1. It tells us that there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. See, shame wants you condemned. That's it. But Christ, he wants you free. And whether you follow the Bible or not, I don't want you to miss this. A woman who was publicly exposed, she was met with something. And that something was dignity. It wasn't punishment, not shame. And what if the God you've been afraid of is nothing like the judgmental faces that threw the first stone? What if the divine meets you right now, not with a label, but with love that restores your name? Can I tell you that there's a love that's waiting to restore your soul, your emotions, your mind, your heart, your will, your body? Now I'm going to continue to anchor us here in 2 Corinthians 3:18, because as we speak about this subject, as we speak about the topic of shame, there's something to learn as it aligns with this very scripture. And again, you should know it by now. It says, and we all with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. Now, here's the revelation, and here's what's wild. You can't go from glory to glory while dragging shame from season to season. You can't behold glory while believing you're unworthy of it. It doesn't work that way. Shame veils the face. Shame covers you. It distorts your reflection and it lies about who you are. It deceives you. But let me tell you, there's a new language that I want to give you. Grace. Grace lifts it. But when the veil of shame is lifted, what's underneath isn't broken. It's becoming. Unveiling is a return to your true reflection. This is all about the journey back to who you really are, because somewhere along the way, things got mixed up. Somewhere along the way, you got confused. Somewhere along the way, things became chaotic. Somewhere along the way, things got distorted. And it's not rooted in perfection. It's rooted in presence. That's why the invitation to be seen is so important, not just solely as it aligns with others in the world and all of the things, external things, but do you see you? Presence. Every time you exchange self-hatred for honesty, the veil thins. Every time you accept love where you expected rejection, you move from glory to glory. And breaking up with shame isn't self-help again. It's a spiritual unveiling. Whether you know it or not, you are a spiritual being. And even if you're unsure about glory, even if you're unsure about God, what if that word just means wholeness? What if you're not being called to be better? You're being called back to who you were before the shame. Whether you call it soul, energy, spirit, self, here's the truth. Here's the common denominator. Shame cannot live where love is allowed in. And so I want you to hear me clearly. Shame is not from God. It's the enemy's counterfeit of conviction. The enemy uses it to silence you. He's good for that. He uses it to isolate you, to paralyze your purpose. But conviction says, you did this, come closer. Shame says, you are this, stay hidden. Grace restores proximity. It says, even here, I choose you. And where shame isolates, grace integrates. Where shame silences, grace gives language. Where shame disconnects, grace reconnects. But Jesus, he enters the space where shame lives to be an example. He calls you out by your true name, not the name the world has given you. You are not your past. You are not your mistake. You are not what they did to you. You are not what religion said you had to be. You know, I really struggled with this for a long time in my personal life. I went years upon years upon years hidden in shame, wrapped in shame, so much to the point that it became my identity, so much to the point that I began to embrace it. I didn't even know that it was disguising itself in that. And I'll get into, as we continue, on some of those specific details. You know, for me, when it came to my personal identity with accepting just who I am, accepting and being comfortable even in the skin that I'm in, and realizing that even though this is me, even though I was born into this, does not mean that things still cannot change. And things can change with acceptance. Things don't just change because they change. There's a level of intentionality that it takes. There's a level of intentionality that is required for something to shift in your life. I need you to know that you are loved. I need you to know that you are free. And you are being transformed. Don't miss it. Don't miss the opportunity for transformation. It no longer has to just serve as an idea in your mind. You get the opportunity to really experience going from glory to glory. And even if Jesus feels like a name you're still healing from, don't miss the heart behind it. Because again, this isn't about religion. This is about reclamation, reclaiming. You are worthy of a life that doesn't start and end in shame. You are worthy of being loved fully, authentically, just as you are, not based on, again, the mask that you've picked up, the mask that you wear, but just as you, simply. And I want you to give yourself permission to be while you are becoming. See, so often are we caught up with this idea if I can just continuously hide this thing. Only you know what that thing is. I can't tell you what that thing is, but you know. If I can continuously hide behind this thing, again, I gave the example in the last episode where I talked about Adam and Eve in the garden. It wasn't because, again, they were evil. They fell short in a moment, and that moment deceived them, and instantly they covered themselves. Doesn't that sound like what we oftentimes do? We instantly cover ourselves. We cover ourselves in fear. We cover ourselves in unbelief. We cover ourselves in doubt. We cover ourselves in imperfection. We cover ourselves in all these things that we have no business covering ourselves in. Because what good does it serve you while you're on this side? There's no purpose in that. There's no life in that. There's no freedom in that. You are not the lie shame told you. You are the truth that love keeps speaking. And love says, there is now no condemnation. So why can't your heart say the same thing? If you stick around, I promise you'll come to find out. Love also says you are being transformed with unveiled face. This is strategy. Shame's voice is loud. But you know what? It isn't lasting. It doesn't have to linger. You can bury it. Grace always outsings it. Every single time. If you allow it. And with unveiled face, again, 2 Corinthians 3:18, you are being transformed from condemnation, shame, fear, doubt, to compassion, kindness, love, from hiding to healing, from shame to glory. So today, we begin the breakup. You are free to be seen. You are free to see yourself. Shame doesn't get to walk with you into your next season. Shame does no longer get the opportunity to have authority over you. It may have shaped you. And guess what? Even you can find opportunity there to embrace the way that maybe shame did shape you, because it's not who you are. Maybe it shaped how you saw yourself, but it cannot define who you are becoming. Why? Because the veil is lifting. And you want to know what's underneath? Glory. That's what's underneath. Yeah, shame is loud, but it's not your voice. You get to write a new story. You get the opportunity to turn the page. You get the opportunity to give yourself permission that I don't have to be what shame has taught me. I get the opportunity to escape with courage. It's a courageous act to put shame down. You know, I think about it this way. You have all of this baggage, you know, and let's say you're going to the airport and you're checking in your bags and you put it on the scale and they weigh your bag and they tell you it's too heavy to go on board. You have to remove some things. You have to take some things out. You have to lighten the load in order for it to be authorized to fly in the air. That's the same thing I would say to you. There are some things you have to lighten the load to authorize freedom in your life. You have to lighten the load. What does that look like? Taking shame out. What does that look like? Fear be gone. What does that look like? I'm lightening the load so that I can be authorized to fly. Because in flying, there's freedom. And you deserve that. So, if you took anything away from today's episode, I know we're going there. I want you to do me just this one favor. Continue to subscribe to the channel. There's purpose in your subscription. Hit the notification bell and follow us on social media at UnveiledOnPod. All right? Thank you so much for hanging out with me yet again. I'm your host, Taylor Picot, and this is Unveiled the Podcast, where we drop the mask, face the truth, and step into the life we were created for. And remember this, you're not what happened to you. You're what's being healed in you. Until next time, I want you to keep showing up, unveiled. And no matter where you are in your faith, your healing, your journey, I want you to know you're safe here. You're loved here. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you are not alone. So to that I say, let's heal together. Let's become together. Until next time.